And now for something completely different.
Forget everything you've been told by others before. Get ready for the real deal, the full story, real talk about money, markets, life. Now, it's The Real Investment Show, presented by RIA Advisors.
Good morning. Welcome to The Real Investment Show. I'm Danny Ratliff here with Richard Rosso. Hope everybody's off to a great Friday morning. Lots of volatility once again in the markets. So watching a little bit about what's going on. Obviously a big inflation print yesterday, which caught markets by surprise, having Fed officials come out and say, hey, we're still not hiking too quick. But we're seeing lots and lots of talk by economists, different people saying, we could see up to 7 rate hikes this year. Now, our thoughts are that it's likely a little bit too hot. We're probably going to see things come down just a bit. And at some point, we may or may not be at peak inflation. I mean, we're seeing supply chain issues subside. We're seeing a lot of the inflationary pressures that was, we could say, artificially stimulated last year.
I don't think you're allowed to say that on the radio.
Oh, well, you know. I don't think we're getting violations today. At least not yet.
You never know.
But that is something we have to be cognizant of. All these things have gone away. So, inflation's been the big talk this year. And, what do you do to protect yourself, protect assets from it? And obviously, if you're sitting in cash, it certainly hurts because you feel like, hey, I'm losing purchasing power. But we don't think you have to act too quickly. Lots of people are saying, hey, we've got to put everything we have in tips. We're having to go to gold. We're having to do all these different things. And I'm not sure that's the right move at the moment. And look, at the end of the day, Lance and I talked about this on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Inflation, the best guard against inflation has been equities.
It has been. You can shift around within your equity exposure if you think rates are going higher, right? You can look at financials. You could look at materials. There are things that you could do from a sector rotation perspective. But, there is a point where obviously bonds will compete with stocks. I'm just not sure we get there, and I don't think anybody else knows either. This is, and Lance calls this, and I absolutely agree, we're in no man's land in many forms, right? The S&P is off 5.5%. It feels worse, right? Because obviously sector by sector, it could look different. So the inflation perspective is how far do you go, or how far can the Fed go before you squash whatever economic growth you have? It seems to me that the stagflation argument is becoming more and more of a reality, maybe a stagflation light. So as we deal with the strongest inflation we've seen in 40 years, the market is going to have to adjust to the Fed doing something, yet they're doing nothing. We still have some measures of emergency procedures out there. So the thought is, how quickly do they move? Brett was talking to me about an article he saw today about the Fed coming out with a surprise rate hike today. I think that would take too many, can't use the word, maybe cojones. There's just no way. Powell is not Volcker in any form. So I would find that hard to believe that they're going to do that.
Well, it's going to be an interesting story this year. Obviously, this is the headline news that we're seeing, and rightfully so.
Absolutely.
But I think even the Fed came out actually yesterday. Well, not officially, but some Fed officials were saying, "Hey, look, there were talks of a 1% rate hike." I think the market. I saw some stats that said the market is priced in an 89% chance of a 50 basis point hike.
First hike.
Correct.
I would say do that. I would rather see that than them pussyfoot around and just slowly ease into it. Do one, wait.
Yep.
Right? Do 50 basis points. And let's put this in perspective, everybody. Nothing from nothing is nothing. What's 50 basis points? In the grand scheme of markets is what I'm talking about. It's really nothing. The market is a spoiled child baby that doesn't want you to even put the ladle into the bowl to take any punch out of it, right? So, and again, 5.5% down for the S&P this year. We're going to talk about, obviously, if you're a retiree and you're in a distribution mode, how this might feel worse for you, as opposed to somebody in accumulation mode, where volatility could be your friend. So there's just been what's great, Danny, is there's just been a lot of great studies about who inflation, obviously inflation affects us all, but higher net worth people, higher net worth households, higher income households, you know, they deal with it. It's uncomfortable. They don't like it. But obviously when you look at where it's hitting certain groups more than others. Actually, Wells Fargo did a great study, shows about how Asian, and actually Hispanic and Latinos are really feeling it more than any other group. And millennials are feeling it. And sort of middle income are really feeling it. We have seen some lower paid workers getting more of a wage hike than others. Makes sense, right? Especially, Danny, in the service industry. Where obviously it's tough to find help to begin with. So, again, listen, I'm not saying the inflation story should be discounted. It's just that you don't know how far it's going to go before the Fed is sort of stuck regarding what they can do. And I agree with you, Danny. I still think stocks will be the best place to be this year. I know that we added a little bit more to long-term bonds because they're long-term bonds because everybody hates them. Listen, sometimes as an investor, you got to buy a little bit what's bleeding in the streets. And that is not the easiest decision to make. But it also goes along our premise that rates can only go so far before you squash whatever economic growth is going to occur. Where we've actually seen estimates for first quarter GDP fall off a cliff, not roll down a hill, but fall down a cliff. So we fall off a cliff. So you have to remember that there can only be so far before the Fed has to just wait. So I think more important than the rate hike, Danny, is going to be the language of the Fed. In other words, if they go, listen, we're going to raise 50 basis points and let it settle in, because, you know, the Fed moves, I think tortoises move faster than the Fed, right?
Of course.
Like a lot quicker than the Fed. So you do one, you wait, get your economic numbers, then see where you go.
Well, the thing is, they have to telegraph this well enough. They have to tell everybody what they're doing and not show any big surprises. And so that's the key. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about this back to 2018 when the market saw lots of volatility. Worst fourth quarter since the Great Depression, really. I mean, if you remember back, it was just on the Trump, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So that went into effect in 2018. We saw two of the best quarters from an earnings perspective that we'd never seen. Q2, Q3 were fantastic.
Right.
Powell comes out and says, hey, we're a long ways from neutral. We're going to raise rates quicker than we expected.
Well, look at where real rates are. I've never seen them this disparate,
correct,
right? So Rich M says on YouTube, 100 basis point raise would do nothing for inflation. Probably not. But what does it do to an economy that's used to living off of low rates and payments?
And paycheck to paycheck.
Devastating.
Yeah.
We get back. I want to talk about, is there a bright side to inflation? I know I'm pulling stuff out of my hat, but maybe there is some sunshine here among the clouds. We're going to talk about it when we return here on Financial Fitness Friday. We'll be right back.
Get daily investment news you can use, delivered at the speed of the internet at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Your retirement is another year closer. Will your exit from the fast lane be a smooth one? RIA advisors can prepare you against the dangers and risks that could cause your retirement to skid in our next free Retirement Right Lane class, Saturday, February 26th at the Embassy Suites Houston. Richard Rosso and Danny Ratliff will bust mainstream financial advice. Explain how you can make the most of Social Security and Medicare. healthcare, and how to lower taxes in retirement. Register now at realinvestmentadvice.com. Realinvestmentadvice.com.
Anyone can sell you insurance, and they'll gladly take your premium dollars. The RIA Insurance Agency can provide you with insurance solutions tailor-made for your needs and lifestyle. Because everyone's assets are different, let RIA Insurance review what you need to protect and how. We won't sell you insurance, but what you need will be a matter of policy. RIA Insurance Agency. 888-915-0780. 888-915-0780. RealInvestmentAdvice.com. Click on the insurance tab.
Do you know what you don't know when hiring and retaining quality employees? Compensation is more than just wages. It's personal time off, the vacation days, healthcare benefits, a 401k. Do you know what's important to them? Hi, I'm Tom Allen, RIA Advisors Retirement Plan Consultant. Let us show you how to make the most of an affordable, effective package that will deliver true value for your business and your employees. Call me toll free at 855-RIA-PLAN or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. Bulls win in bull markets. Bears win in bear markets. Eagles soar above and take advantage of opportunity. Let us help you soar as you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors, 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show.
Now where I don't understand the Fed, welcome back everybody, is how they feel that the Fed's going to have a 2% target for inflation.
Well, they've had a 2% target for years, never achieved it. Now we're well above it.
You got to raise it, Powell. You're going to have to slowly raise that, maybe to 3.
Yeah. But that, to your point.
Households are expecting 5 next year.
Maybe to 3, but do you actually get to 5? Do you continue to see that without the stimulus money?
Think about benchmark. You know, I can understand if you have a goal, you have a benchmark goal, and that's what I think that 2% is, this nebulous target. Right?
Correct.
So maybe you got to tell me that I'm looking at this target blind. I've got to go to
we had anemic growth
everybody's
for years.
Target to higher, and then move around that target.
So expectations you're seeing are 5.
Yeah, that's what the University of Michigan is saying. Inflation, households are expecting 5% next year.
Okay, so where's wage growth with this? Where's labor participation rate, labor force participation rates? I mean, you go back, look at studies. So studies show from 1965 to 2009, stocks and rates move together until yields rise to 4.5%, then move in opposite directions. So therefore indicating at 4.5% prior to 2009, it smothered the economy. Since then, it was 3.6%. Then they begin to move in opposite directions. This is a 10-year. Now, we could also make an argument that it's probably lower. Lance has always said, look, we're stepping down as far as the yields before they begin to really hurt the economy.
Correct.
Last time it was 3.25%. I mean, 2018, we're just talking about November 8th, those 3.24. Powell comes back out after October saying, hey, things are hot. The economy is rolling. We're going to have to move quicker than we anticipated. Market peels off 10%. He comes back in November, says, hey, guys, we're done. We're not doing anything. Took a breather, goes back down another 10. But then it did provide a reset with the economy to some extent, or the market for that matter. And we're able, 2019 was a good year. But eliminated all returns from 2018.
Yeah, no. And I think that there are two main reasons why inflation is going to be sticky for a while. One is energy inflation, just based on us standing in our own way when it comes to...
So explain that.
Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to import energy as opposed to creating it here, right? So, and all this move toward clean energy, like in all one fell swoop, like you're going to do it all at once as opposed to, let's do this intelligently. So we're standing in our own way politically, right? From that perspective, where oil and gas prices are going to stay higher. Then you got to remember is why have prices always been so low? Because of increased competition from imports, right? Globalization. Well, I don't know if anybody's noticed, But proverbial walls are going up all over the world. I mean, China just built a new COVID wall, whatever the heck that is, like a wall. But I think you're going to see a return to nationalism in many ways where, listen, how many times, Danny, do you and I talk about we want to buy goods from the United States, right? Yeah. We more and more people are having this discussion about buying more goods made here as best as possible.
It shops small businesses locally.
Websites coming up about how to buy here in the United States. The downside is you're going to pay more, which means higher prices. Lower income households are going to have a tough time with it. So I think there are trends in our path, in our way. I don't know how long they last. That takes that Fed benchmark and raises it.
Well, but ideally, so if we're doing all these things, right, we're shopping locally, we're buying things that are domestic,
right?
You would think that wages would go with that over time.
Higher.
Correct.
Well, that's
so
that
that's
wage
the case,
price
though.
spiral. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, listen, if you look at wage price increases, that lower work, that service worker increase, that's been the greatest increase in wages we've seen. In some cases, around 8%.
Yeah.
Right? I know. I understand. Like they're saying, wage growth is around 6.9%. Generally, but if you look at segment by segment, listen, talk to a small business and see how much they have to pay to hire somebody.
Well, the
restaurant.
cost is getting greater and greater. And I like visiting with our small businesses and our clients there, and we're hearing over and over. Like I always ask, like, hey, how's cost of goods, inflation? How's that hitting you? And every now and again, I'll hear, oh, it's not a big deal, and then I'll get an email a week, 2 weeks later, man, this just went up by 10%, 11%. Everything is getting a little bit more expensive, and so it's just a matter of when they're actually passing it on to the consumer or the end user. Now, we are seeing yesterday, who came out yesterday and said, we don't believe we're going to be able to pass that on any longer this last week.
Yeah.
It was a consumer staples company.
Yeah.
Was it
Unilever?
not Mondelez? It was Unilever.
One of them, but they said, listen, people are becoming more price sensitive again.
Yeah.
So our profit margins are going to get hit.
Because they're not going to be able to pass that on any longer.
Correct.
So we saw Procter & Gamble 3 rate or price increases last year. Probably not going to be able to do the same this year.
Right.
But a lot of
it's
this
going to be a case-by-case basis, unlike this broad sweep of pricing power, where some companies are going to be spending a lot of time looking at going, gosh, we're going to eat this, right? Our margins are going to get slammed because we can no longer pass these prices increases down. Now you have companies like Chipotle that are continuing to do it because people are still going.
Correct.
But there's a point where that's going to be a pain point for them. So every company is going to have to figure out their own pain point, but it's going to happen because cash coffers are drained, people are living on credit cards again, and that's going to be a problem. So that price sensitivity or elasticity is going to come back.
Yeah, Ford and GM just came out and said, hey, they got after their dealership, said, do not sell over MSRP, which was fairly normal over the last year and a half, where they're saying they were marking things up $10,000, $15,000 above MSRP and selling them. Look, I was in the market for a new vehicle, looking all over the place, but
Did you ever find one?
I couldn't fathom spending the money.
I know. Yeah.
It's like, wait a second, I'm going to go buy a Suburban for $100,000? No way.
The guy on the bicycle on 45, that's Danny.
Yeah. You wonder why I look so bad?
Go find a bicycle today. Forget it.
Well, it just pays to put that money back into the used car and fix whatever was wrong with it in the first place.
Well,
because
that's right,
these used car prices are so high.
Well, they are. So now it's, if you had a used car and you could wait, if you had multiple vehicles, you're in the ideal situation, right? Go ahead and liquidate one.
Oh, yeah.
Wait it out.
Yeah.
But how long are you waiting? Now, but the good thing is with them actually coming out and saying, hey, you're no longer going to have the ability to price these things in like this. That's going to be beneficial for, I think, the retail consumer. Got to be, at least at some point.
Yeah. So listen, we've got a lot of things happening. You've had years where workers have lost leverage over employers because of low wage workers overseas. Workers, I think, have more leverage today. And I don't know if that part's going away based on a couple of factors I mentioned earlier. But what's the bright side of this? So in my book in 2012, I wrote about how there was this great recession mindset, generation of younger people who decided that because of what they saw their parents go through, they didn't get everything that they wanted, mostly like around the Gen Z, that generation. They just decided that they're going to live smaller. They don't need a lot of stuff. Today, we still see those changes in consumer habits based on the Great Recession. Does the Great Inflation, Danny, along with the Great Resignation, does that reshuffle priorities and help people think about how to get their households financially in order? Because they may have to. And unfortunately, it takes some sort of shock for people to really dissect their own cash flow. Because when things are good, you just think they're going to continue, right? So if inflation's going to stick around a while, even for middle income or higher income households, it might cause people that didn't keep a budget, didn't watch their pennies, to do so.
So Pete on YouTube just talked about austerity. And that's been an interesting thing, right? Think about like the Great Recession and what happened there. Like we saw Europe, they did some austerity instead of doing all this stimulus.
Oh, man, that was a big thing.
Back.
Remember about austerity and, that went out the window.
Well, and they had a double dip recession. We didn't do that. We just kept throwing money at it. And we benefited from a market perspective from
now
it.
we're going to go through the hangover of it, possibly with stagflation. But that's another
But what
story.
you're talking about is a consumer austerity.
Within a household. Right.
Correct. So much different than the government. But this is something that, people are going to say, hey, maybe we should begin to look at. Maybe we should look at the balance sheet. Actually do that 4-letter word, budget. Look at how much we're spending, where we're spending it. And at some point, especially without the stimulus money coming, because everybody was, we had this big safety net that we knew that funds were coming in, or people did in general. Now with that being gone, what happens there? Does the consumer mindset begin to change, especially with higher rates?
And that's also affects, you just talked about, some companies are going to lose the ability to have pricing power. And this shutdown that we had during the pandemic, people learned to reshift priorities, which I think led to the great resignation, right? People want time to themselves. They're understanding quality of life. They understand they may not make as much money. It might really cause you to really do a household financial forensics and really go through where your money is going and how you're spending it. And how can we save more? And what can we do things that don't cost so much money? I mean, listen, we talked about this the other day. I know Disney had great earnings, but I'm like, how long does that last? I mean, to go to the Disney park, the cost to go to Disney is insane.
Oh, it is. I've never taken the kids to get grief from the in-laws because of it, because I refuse to take them to spend $10,000, $15,000.
You know what Danny's doing on
It's
Sunday?
nuts.
He just walks around the house with mouse ears. Here it is, baby.
Hey, I did have a friend go recently. They showed a picture. Look, it is bonkers. I mean, people everywhere. So Disney. I see it.
I do. We get back. We're going to continue this discussion.
The Real Investment Advice blog. It's required reading for the informed investor. Catch it today at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Your retirement is another year closer. Will your exit from the fast lane be a smooth one? RIA advisors can prepare you against the dangers and risks that could cause your retirement to skid in our next free Retirement Right Lane class, Saturday, February 26th at the Embassy Suites Houston. Richard Rosso and Danny Ratliff will bust mainstream financial advice, explain how you can make the most of Social Security and Medicare, and how to lower taxes in retirement. Register now at realinvestmentadvice.com. Realinvestmentadvice.com.
Anyone can sell you insurance, and they'll gladly take your premium dollars. The RIA Insurance Agency can provide you with insurance solutions tailor-made for your needs and lifestyle. Because everyone's assets are different, let RIA Insurance review what you need to protect and how. We won't sell you insurance, but what you need will be a matter of policy. RIA Insurance Agency. 888-915-0780. 888-915-0780. RealInvestmentAdvice.com. Click on the insurance tab.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. A passive investment portfolio requires active risk management. It's not a choice, it's necessity. Diversification doesn't protect against risk of loss. Let us actively help you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors, 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Can't catch the whole show now? Listen to our podcast later at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Did you wake up and decide to wear the same bowling shirt as me?
Well, I thought we had our game today.
Bowling at noon.
Wall Street used to have, the martini lunch? Now they have the bowling lunch?
You can't even do that anymore. It's hard to social distance 6 feet and bowl at the same time. Just every other lane, I guess.
Everybody has to bring their own bowl.
The Real Investment Show podcast. Same show, your schedule.
So many puns, so little time. And then there's the FCC.
At realinvestmentadvice.com.
Just let your mind do the work, okay?
Yeah. Small businesses are discovering that attracting and retaining top talent come down to more than just salary. In today's highly competitive job market, compensation is more than just wages. Hi, I'm Tom Allen, RIA Advisors Retirement Plan Consultant. Healthcare and retirement plans can make the difference in hiring and retaining the best employees. We can show you how to build an affordable, effective employment package that delivers true value for your workers and your business. Call me toll-free at 855-RIA-PLAN or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Real Investment Show podcasts are now available from Stitcher Smart Radio at Stitcher.com.
Hi, Lance Roberts here. If you're like most people, your 401k plan represents the bulk of your retirement assets. And unfortunately for many, managing your 401k plan can be difficult. There's so many choices, so many things to consider. With just a quick email, a couple of questions, you can put RIA Advisors to work for you managing your 401k plan. It's a quick and easy application. Just simply click Ask a Question at realinvestmentadvice.com or give us a call at 855-RIA-PLAN. That's realinvestmentadvice.com.
RIA Advisors can prepare you against the dangers and risks that could cause your retirement to skid in our next free Retirement Right Lane class, Saturday, February 26th at the Embassy Suites Houston. Richard Rosso and Danny Ratliff will explain how you can make the most of Social Security and Medicare and how to lower taxes in retirement. Register now at realinvestmentadvice.com.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
Welcome back to the Financial Fitness Friday edition of the Real Investment Show. I'm Danny Ratliff here with Richard Rosso. Thank you guys for joining us this morning. Let's talk a lot about inflation, a lot of different things that are going on right now. Markets pricing those things in. But some good news for those over 72 having to take your required minimum distribution. Life expectancy tables have changed.
How exciting.
Woohoo. But what does that mean?
Now I'm going to live longer to take and have inflation ravage me.
Well, the good news here is that for those looking to do more methodical distributions, strategic, you're not required to take as much out because they gave us another year or two on the life expectancy tables, and this will bring your RMD down. So what does that mean overall for the average Joe, Rich? What do people have to be mindful here? Because there's a couple more changes that occurred here, right? So Secure Act 2020 changed some things, moved the RMD age from 70.5 to 72. We saw how non-spousal beneficiaries of IRAs, so inherited IRAs, that changed as well from a life expectancy to a 10-year window. And I would think over time they're going to begin to become more aggressive with trying to get their hands on funds. But this is actually good news.
Yeah, I'm surprised they changed the table, actually, even though they should have years ago, only because it means less money coming out. I mean, it's marginally different. I mean, it's not like it's tremendously different, but it is less money coming out of your accounts. So it's, it's about time they finally changed the table. So you might notice that there's just a difference in what you thought you were going to take and what you're really going to take. I don't know if there's any talk about maybe pushing the RMD age to 75. I know there's been some talk about taking it away. Listen, if you're here's the stupid part of this. How many people do you know Really, who are seriously still working at 72 years old. Like Brent's going to be here, right? He'll have more hair at 72.
Well, we just keep updating his financial plan. Sorry, buddy, you can't do it.
Can't retire,
No,
Brent.
yeah, not going to work.
And if I am
My
still
new title is going to be indentured.
Well,
that's a new table we're using at the IRS, the indenture table.
Yes.
You know, again, rules are archaic around a lot of these distribution processes and why you even need to take them.
well, they are because let's face it. If we look at most of America, they're living on these funds. They need these funds already, and most people are underfunded for retirement.
Or if they're saying, "Listen, I really don't want to take it because I'm still working. I really don't want to take my RMD from my IRAs." Right?
Well, it allows people to become more strategic as far as how they take distributions, what they're doing, not having to take that. You know, we did a Lunch and Learn, a webinar yesterday on Social Security and talking about taxation, talking about benefits withheld, talking about all the different things that can occur. IRMA with Medicare. This allows you to hopefully, if they went away with RMDs, there'd be some big benefit from a planning perspective because we would have just another tool in the toolbox to help mitigate some of those additional taxes, those stealth taxes.
Yeah, of Social Security taxation. But again, it's something to keep in mind. I don't know what else will change, but it's about time that we did this. You know, I still don't even understand for inherited IRAs for non-spouses. You have to take it out. Remember, you have to take that distribution out. Say your mom passes away and you inherit her IRA. You have to take it out the year following her death over a 10-year period. There's no table for that. So I think a lot of people are going to get hurt, Danny. In other words, I can take it all out in year 10. I can take it out in year 5. In other words, you're going to really have to watch your tax situation and make sure, I would say, take some out every year. But I had someone the other day who's got needs to do it. And he got another windfall, got a big bonus at work. I said, okay, if you don't want to take it this year, you don't have to. But remember, you're just pushing out the pain because next year. So I guess in some ways, people can craft it, those distributions. But in year 10, if you've got more than you have a large inherited IRA and you need to take that money, it's got to come out. Well, otherwise, the penalties are. I
mean, think about this from a
logistical
perspective, from our perspective, right? As an advisor, we're calling people saying, hey, you need to take your RMD. And every year we have our list. We go through these, especially you get to about Q4, we're really hitting that list hard. Hey, guys, we need to take this RMD. If you don't have it on autopilot, let's go ahead and get this off the
There are
books.
a lot of people that are still under the impression because of the pandemic that they don't have to take RMDs.
Yep. You can delay it or defer. Yep.
I talked to someone the other day that said, I still haven't done that. I'm like, for last year you didn't? You know, the IRS might give you a pass, but you better do more this year and get your tax person to say, hey, I made a mistake.
But you're going to have to, the advisors are going to have to be very diligent. You're going to have to be diligent in knowing when that 10-year window is.
Yes.
Because now you don't have the custodian, you don't have the people telling you, hey, each year this is how much you need to take. You just have to do it. It has to be liquidated, gone. If you're a non-spousal inherited IRA.
And there's going to be a lot of that. And that's why also people are looking at, my children are in a higher tax bracket. So I'm thinking, gosh, when I'm gone, they're going to have to take this money out over 10 years, not their life expectancies. I'm really going to cause even though it's great they'll have that money, and I'm glad I'm able to do that if, God forbid, something happens to me. But boy, I'm really going to push them into another bracket. So what this gentleman is doing is moving more toward Roth conversions as a legacy asset, Danny, right? So that when he's in good health, so we'll make sure we do required minimum. We'll do every year he takes his required minimum, but we can do above and beyond to get a Roth stash going so that when his children inherit the Roth, because that'll be his legacy
and
asset.
likely their peak earning years.
Right. At least when they take the money out over 10 years, it's tax-free. So you've got to think about how that money might pass on to others and the tax burden you're going to leave to them. And I have some people that'll say, listen, you know what? That's money they wouldn't have had anyway. But If you could do a better job saving taxes for everybody involved in your family, let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you do need to start thinking about a little bit outside the box. And you know what? It's counterintuitive to what most people want to do. We want to delay taxes as long as we can.
It's always about saving taxes now. And then,
Correct.
because, retirement is this road I'll never travel, or I'll never, I'm 30 years old, 35 years old, and I'm like, that's an eternity. But then all of a sudden, you're there. And you think your taxes, you're going to be in the lowest. Well, my broker said I'm going to be in the lowest tax bracket when I retire. Listen, this is an old story, like when Alf was popular on television. And even though I love Alf, that's advice he would give you. And then he'd eat your cat, but that's a whole other story.
Well, if things are going the way they're going, that lower tax bracket's not going to be all that low.
It's not now when people retire. Right, to your point.
And
that's the question you have to ask.
Up.
Do you think, with all that's going on, that taxes are going higher? Regardless of your political views, do you actually think taxes are going to be lower in the future?
Well, we know. So we know the sunset provision that comes in, right? So end of 2025, we step into 2026.
When Alf becomes a vegetarian, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
We revert back to the old tax code.
Yeah.
If nothing is done, which we know at some point, we're probably going to have to go above and beyond. But here's the big thing. Think about this. So most people, when they talk about income, they talk about it in a gross, like, oh, I make X amount. I make $60,000, $100,000, $150,000. But they don't factor in, okay, what about healthcare benefits? What about 401k distributions or contributions, excuse me? What about the funds that you're putting aside? So you start to draw all this out, what do you actually live on? What are your real expenses? And what we find is once you do that, it's probably not that much different than what you're going to live on in retirement and pull from your accounts.
Especially during your active years.
Correct.
Right. Say you retire, even if you retire at age 70, I still think you're a young retiree. Listen, 70 today is different than 70, 20 years ago, right? People are more active than they've ever been. They're traveling and all that. So at least from 70 to 75, 70 to 78, this might be very active for you. You might be spending a lot more money than you think.
Very true.
And you have to be concerned about most tax people, most financial advisors are focused on the front pocket tax, the taxes you know about, the federal income tax. But then there's these back pocket taxes, as Danny talks about and we talk about, is taxes on Social Security, right? 50 cents to 85 cents on the dollar, depending on your provisional income. Which does include distributions from your IRA. Your IRMA charges, your additional charges on top of your base premiums for Medicare Part B and Part D. This stuff adds up, and you could be hit with it. And I have people that I've worked with for years that never thought they would, and they are.
Well, these are the things that nobody talks about. Most CPAs don't visit about this, right? Most
it's more of a
advisors
holistic
don't
view of
discuss
looking
this.
at taxes, right?
Well, it is it's uncomfortable because you're doing things right now that we've always been taught to delay. And CPAs are judged. I always say this: CPAs are judged on how much can you save me today.
No, in all fairness, that's how they're judged.
Yeah. So if the next guy says, "Hey, your guy's not doing a good job. I can save you $10,000 more," you're like, "Hey, I'm going to jump." But what if they're forward thinking? What if they were thinking about not just now, but 10, 15, 20 years down the road? That can be a big bonus, especially when we're dealing with a tax code the environment that we're in currently, which is likely not going to stay the same.
Agree. When we get back, we're going to talk a little about, hey, you want to reduce the risk of retirement portfolio exhaustion and distributions in the face of possibly lower returns or negative returns in the market. If you're a retiree, you need to listen to this. We'll be right back.
Get daily investment news you can use, delivered at the speed of the internet at realinvestmentadvice.com.
Your retirement is another year closer. Will your exit from the fast lane be a smooth one? RIA Advisors can prepare you against the dangers and risks that could cause your retirement to skid in our next free Retirement Right Lane class, Saturday, February 26th at the Embassy Suites Houston. Richard Rosso and Danny Ratliff will bust mainstream financial advice, explain how you can make the most of Social Security and Medicare, and how to lower taxes in retirement. Register now at realinvestmentadvice.com. Realinvestmentadvice.com.
Anyone can sell you insurance, and they'll gladly take your premium dollars. The RIA Insurance Agency can provide you with insurance solutions tailor-made for your needs and lifestyle. Because everyone's assets are different, let RIA Insurance review what you need to protect and how. We won't sell you insurance, but what you need will be a matter of policy. RIA Insurance Agency. 888-915-0780. 888-915-0780. RealInvestmentAdvice.com. Click on the insurance tab.
What worries you about your money? Enhance your financial success with RIA Advisors' free financial planning tool, MyBlocks. It's our online modular manager for your money and your life. Does your vision of retirement match up to reality? MyBlocks can help to determine how much you'll need and how you can achieve. Create your own personal financial vision for the next decade with MyBlocks, our free tool at RIAadvisors.com. Click on the Client Portal tab, RIAadvisors.com.
And now, another page from the Real Investment Advisors Investing Manifesto. Manage risk and volatility rather than trying to manage gains. You don't have to be right all the time. Long-term investing success is a 70% gain. Let us help you reach your financial goals with RIA Advisors. Neither bull nor bear. RIA Advisors, 281-501-1791 or online at realinvestmentadvice.com.
The Real Investment Show.
And we're back.
Boys.
Hey, we had a great turnout yesterday
We did.
for our Social Security Lunch and Learn. Wow. So much confusion and facts. I mean, we threw a lot at people.
I almost feel bad because there's so much information surrounding it.
It is. I mean, you feel like you're drowning in information when it comes to Social Security and how to claim.
Well, so many moving parts. How does it impact you? What does that really mean? And so what we love to do is actually put those numbers together and show you individually what's the overall impact to you and your family. And, you know, unfortunately for many, it's going to take a financial plan, or fortunately.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just don't like doing that whole big picture. But there's a lot of money left on the table with Social Security. And so if you weren't able to attend, we are going to have that live on the YouTube channel. So the Real Investment Show, that'll be posted there. You can actually go out there and take a look.
It's about an hour, a little over an hour.
Yeah,
But we went through a lot of information. And we're going to be doing our Retirement Right Lane class live at the end of February.
This will be good because it's been a long time since you and I have done a live class.
Now, it's sort of centrally located because we're going to do it here in the Memorial area at the Embassy Suites by our office here.
I-10 in Kirkwood, I-10 in Beltway.
Easy to get to. And this is a class. This is a couple of hours in the morning you're going to spend with us. And we're going to make sure you do not get derailed, because what we try to help pre-retirees, new retirees, and heck, even if you've been retired for a while, I'm sure you're going to learn something. But you're in that right lane and you're ready to exit. Right? I'm ready to get to the destination of retirement. How do I remain uninterrupted before, I have to get back on the freeway. Something happens and I got to get back on the road to work. I got to work longer. Something's changed. We want to make sure we give you this right lane strategy so you exit to your destination. And there's so many facts, so many ways that we're going to help people break some of the conventional wisdom out there that doesn't work, especially around retirement income, Social Security, Medicare. I mean, this is the soup to nuts. guaranteed you will learn something. And how many people will talk to us and say, my gosh, I didn't know that, or I got this advice and it wasn't right. And we were able to help people make better decisions about, almost everything. Saving taxes in retirement, Medicare, again, Social Security, everything. So this is a class that you need to attend. I guess it's up there now.
It is. So
Can
go to
you sign in at
realinvestmentadvice.com, go to the
Yeah.
events tab. You can register right there. But two things I want to mention with
Go
that,
ahead.
right?
Yeah.
So one, there's no charge for this class.
Oh, right.
And two, there's no carrot at the end of it. We have a lot of people that come and they say, okay, what are you selling?
Yeah, does it have to go into a product? No.
No, this is our expertise. This is what we do on a day-to-day basis. These are things that you should be thinking about and you should be putting into play with your own life and what you guys are doing. And so we want to provide you guys with as many resources and tools to be successful leading up to retirement so that you have that retirement that you hope and dream for.
You know how you know we're not selling you anything?
How's that?
When you sit down, you're not getting like steak and eggs and mimosas and... Right? We
that
always
would be
tell
nice.
people, if you're going for a steak dinner...
Yeah, don't come here.
You're going to pay for that.
Yeah, and in fact, we get a lot of questions like, how come you guys don't do those? Well,
Because we're not selling you anything at the end of it. I think we might have some donut holes for you at this one, but we'll see.
Hotel coffee.
Medicare donut holes we'll be discussing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wait a
The
second,
donut
Rich.
holes
Don't
are
be
prescription
giving
D.
people a false sense of hope here.
That would be neat if we handed out donut holes
Or we just
right
do
when
health
we start
and wealth
talking
and,
about donut holes, just to keep everybody awake.
Yeah. Give everybody carrots and celery and
We do keep that audience captivated about a lot of heady stuff. I will tell you. And why is because there's audience engagement. People ask us questions during the process, not just at the end. People share their stories. I love that part, Danny. When people say, hey, you know what? You guys are right. This is what happened to me with Medicare Advantage. When we hear stories of what we're saying, if people have made these mistakes and they've rectified them and then share them with everybody, man, it's magical. It really is. I mean, it's one thing to hear it from us. It's another thing to hear it from someone who's already gone through this, or people who have gone
been
through
there,
it.
done that.
Yeah, or gone through it with their parents or grandparents, because we're talking about long-term care, right? How do you make the best of that? Who talks about living in retirement as far as what's your household going to look like? Are you going to age in place? What are you going to do? What does actual living in retirement, the place you live in, have you thought about that? Have you planned for that? And you may not plan for that when you first retire, but heck, once you're about 10 years into retirement, you're going to be wondering, what's that next phase of housing look like for me? We're going to talk about that. So this is a lot of information about things. So we hope you're going to be there. There'll be lots of coffee.
Saturday, February 26th.
Saturday, February 26th.
9 a.m.
I would say don't get your beloved spouse a gift for Valentine's Day and say, I'm going to save this up for a very special gift at a hotel. We're going to go to a hotel the weekend of the 26th, and then it's the retirement, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? That'll work?
Don't do that.
Okay, that's not the
Yeah.
But honey,
we
we're
don't talk
talking
about we don't talk about divorce and retirement, which is prevalent, but
this is a gift you may not appreciate right now, but I promise.
when I'm not here, it may be after the seminar I'm not here. It might be really helpful for you.
Could be.
I got 2 words for you.
Shut up.
3 words. Chocolate-covered strawberries.
Well, this is after Valentine's
That
Day,
better
so
be
hopefully
the-
everybody
yeah.
has
Yeah,
done
not
their
at the right
deeds and-
lane, because we're not doing that.
No.
Because I'm not dressing up as Cupid either.
If you pull the hotel stunt with your bride, you better have chocolate-covered strawberries in the refrigerator.
Hold on now. Do you guys participate in this Valentine's Day nonsense?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, listen, I meant to
man.
talk about this because we know in the Ratliff household, Valentine's Day is just a day.
It's a day. You're darn right. No way. I am not going to go out and pay 4 times what you should pay for flowers. So the deal is, she does get flowers. She gets them often. Probably not as often as she should receive them, which would be daily.
You don't get them often enough, Michelle.
But we don't. And we're not going to go pay the extra, surcharge
Listen,
to go
I'm
out
not
to eat
saying
on
that's
Valentine's Day.
not smart. I think it is. I think it's very financially savvy. And I think you do stuff throughout the year, don't you? You do special dinners and other things that make up for that. Do you all even say Happy Valentine's Day to each other, or you don't even do that?
I don't even know. We let the kids have fun at school. They do their thing, but that's about as far as this goes.
Sort of like we don't like in the Italian families. We don't want to talk about the St. Valentine's Day massacre. That's what he's going through. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about.
Oh, we talk about it, and hey, because I ask because I know how this goes, right? You have to make sure that she's still okay with this and that her friends have not brainwashed her or something has gone on.
You don't have to get me anything. I'll be fine.
I learned that a long time ago with Christmas, like 2006.
When
My
there were
dad
no
said, "You
gifts.
really didn't get her anything?" I said, "She didn't want anything." He said, "You're an idiot." Go to the jewelry store right now.
I think the Christmas one.
Your Christmas, yeah, that's right.
Might want to make a change.
We even, I mean, hey, she gets what she wants.
No, she does.
But she's extremely frugal, which I appreciate.
She
Sometimes too much so. You could go buy one dress at Neiman's or 10 at Kohl's. It's still the same price, honey. But
listen, you should write a whole blog piece about how do you ignore Valentine's Day and then see what kind of hate mail you get.
oh my goodness, I can't even imagine.
He gets a death notice from what's that Valentine's Day bear?
Michelle will be posting it everywhere because I'm sure I'm
Vermont Teddy
more
Bear Company
dead
is
than
sending
alive.
is sending Danny death threats. But he's got that down. I fall for it. We did something a little bit earlier on at Trulux in the Woodlands. I don't think those prices ever go down. So, good gosh. Beautiful right there in Hughes Landing.
Oh,
right
yeah.
off the water.
It's a
Very
great
nice.
place.
Yeah. But to your point, everything gets hyped up.
So
There's
do they
holiday inflation on top of your regular inflation.
Do they take coupons? No? I'm not there, sorry.
Does who take coupons?
Trulux.
Oh.
That's another thing you can do. You could give a coupon.
Yeah.
What's funny,
Good
Amy
luck
and I
with that.
sitting there, and the waitress.
Here's your back rub, honey.
Very nice waitress, but she's talking about like when you go to an Italian restaurant, do you want cheese on that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want cheese on your? She's talking about, we have these crab legs, and you can put them on anything. They're only $75 for each leg. You can have a leg on this and a leg on that, and a leg, and I'm going cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. $75 a leg?
Yikes.
That's more than a leg, buddy.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, we're not putting legs on anything right now.
Sorry, honey.
$75 a leg.
Not going to happen.
Just put legs on your money.
Gracious.
Watch
We'll go to
it walk
HEB,
away.
imitation crab,
In the can?
in the can.
I'm going to tell you, who's going to be fine in retirement? Danny.
Oh,
Danny and Michelle, they're going to be
it'll
just
be
fine.
It'll be because of her, for sure.
In their tiny house.
Man, these kids are gone. We are downsizing. I mean, we will have one
I don't
vehicle.
know if the kids are ever really gone.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
you bring up a good point before we talk about something else that, we can't even talk about anything else. But couples do need to be in simpatico with their values with money, because that can really hurt your overall net worth. So that's where you and Michelle are aligned. It really helps to build wealth and save money.
It does. It's interesting, what we do for a living day to day. We're in the weeds of this, and she actually is on me at times, like, "Hey,
Do it.
what are we doing? I need to make sure I'm on top of this," which is great because we see so many spouses that are not engaged. They have no idea what's going on, and it does make for a much better.
Next week, we're going to
financial
talk
plan.
about retirement plan distributions, how to do them creatively. Still have time to talk about it. We will next week. Hope you have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us.
All the things I could do if I had a little money. It's a rich man's world. It's a rich man's world.